super I own a real estate brokerage in Houston, Texas. So I'm primarily talking about property taxes in Harris County, but this is really applicable to whatever county you live in. You have the opportunity to protest your property taxes. It's something that I knew nothing about until I knew everything about. So I literally went from knowing absolutely nothing about property taxes and how they work to becoming a homeowner. And basically what happened was the mortgage I was given, which was probably like $1,500 a month, that was the estimate, including property taxes. And then all of a sudden, my first year of homeownership, those property taxes raised considerably. And what happened then is that I was like, oh my God, well, I had budgeted for $1,500 a month for my mortgage, and now my mortgage is $2,500 a month. How do my property taxes change that drastically? So that's what got me involved in understanding how to protest, understanding the system, how it works. In the state of Texas, we are taxed actually pretty high for our property taxes. Most of the time you'll see that your mortgage is like 50% property taxes and 50% all the other stuff, which is like your actual money that you owe to the bank and interest and insurance and all those other things. And then you're like, what's this huge amount of money that I pay per year that just goes to the county to do all the things for schools and roads and all those things. But I'm going to just do a little bit of a deep dive in what it looks like to protest your property taxes. There's a few ways of doing this. You can hire a company to do it for you. Most of the time, companies take about 50% of the what their winnings are, right? So in order to protest your property taxes, you actually book an appointment with the county. We'll go into those details in a little bit, but if you hired a company to do this, and there are a gazillion of them, if you just Google like who fights property taxes in my area, you're going to find a local company or person who does that. Look for reviews. I don't really endorse one particular company currently. Most of the time that's because I fight my own property taxes. And I've personally never used a company to fight them. But I think that companies that do this for homeowners bring a lot to the marketplace. Because if a homeowner is not going to protest their own property taxes, then it absolutely makes sense that you would hire a company to do it. One, because you are out no money unless they win. So it is totally worth, if you are not going to fight your own property taxes, to go ahead and hire a company to do it. Have them do it on your behalf, because whatever savings they get you, they get like 50%. I think on average, I think that's how most of these companies charge. And then you get the other 50% of savings. So my first tip is, if you are not going to fight your own property taxes, hire a company. It's simple. You give them your address. You normally have to sign a form saying that you're giving them permission to protest on your behalf. A lot of times they renew that from year to year if you do not let them know not to fight on your behalf. So that's getting kind of the company stuff out of the way. If you are not going to do it yourself, hire a company to do it. They will go in, they will file the protest on your behalf. It is literally totally hands off. And from your perspective, you're just giving someone permission to do it. And it's better than nothing, right? Okay, so that's my first tip. You're not going to do it, hire somebody. If you are going to do it, here are my tips. I learned a little bit every year, and you learn as you go. A lot of people wonder if fighting your property tax value hurts your resale value. that's a question I get asked as a realtor all the time. A lot of times people will say like, hey, my property taxes are, the county has my home appraised at 300,000, but I want to sell my home for 500,000. Do I need my property taxes to, or my property appraised value to be higher, so it looks like my property is worth more money? No, you do not. You always want your appraised value to be as low as possible, and what I can sell your property, which is real market value, to be as high as possible. You want to pay the lowest amount of taxes, and those two things don't really relate. The county appraises your property based on like a computer program. Nobody's been out to your house. They don't know that you live next to, something unsightly. Like in Houston, we don't have any zoning laws, right? So you could live really next to a shanty and have $1 million house next door. The county doesn't realize that you live next to a shanty if that's the case. They come up with their values basically through a computer system. The computer system tells them, well, homes in this area should be worth this much money. So that's why protesting your property taxes is so important, because you really are being the advocate for your property to make sure that the county understands what's really there and what's going on. I will get to another portion of this where I talk to you about values of, like, if your home is undervalued and what you should do with your property taxes. But so with that in mind, with the idea that the county doesn't understand what your property is actually worth, you can't get so offended when you open up that letter that you get and it says that it's increased in value so much, because you have to understand that they're not looking at you as an individual, which is why protesting your property taxes becomes so important, so that you can have an individual set of eyes on your property where you're taxed appropriately. And you were probably saying right now, well, Jena, that seems like a pain. Why do I have to do this every year? And the short answer of that is, it's your money, right? It's your money and it's your value. I can't tell you how many times that I've represented a buyer going to a property and we get, the lenders running through everything for the property. And then all of a sudden we hit a hiccup because we realize that the